Good morning, everyone. This week we begin learning the story of Abraham, the first Jew, in the portion of Lecha. Now, Noach, in yesterday's Torah portion, died when Abraham was 58 years old. And the question is, did Abraham ever meet Noach? And while there's no recorded encounter or interaction between Abraham and Noach, there is a recorded conversation between the time that Abraham met the son of Noach, whose name was Shem. And the Medrash says that Abraham asked Shem, tell me, in what merit were you and your family granted permission to leave the ark? To which Shem responded, it was in the merit of feeding the animals for an entire year on the ark. Which our Medrash says, Abraham said to himself, if that's the merit of feeding animals, how much more so feeding human beings? And decided to devote his life to the mitzvah of hachnasat orchim, hospitality, and acts of loving kindness. Like next week's Torah portion will tell the story of the three angels, or strangers disguised, angels disguised as strangers, who Abraham invited into his tent, which had 4 doors to welcome guests from every direction. And the question is, why did Noach and his family need a merit to leave the ark? And our rabbis explain that the question that Abraham was asking Noach was, why did God allow you to leave the ark and rebuild the world? Why did God have faith in the future of humanity after witnessing the destruction that mankind brought to the world in the generation of the flood? And the answer that Shem gave Abraham, which inspired him to choose a life devoted to kindness, was that God saw the goodness, the potential of man, how man spent a year feeding the animals, the most vulnerable creatures. And God said, I will have faith in the future of humanity, because yes, there will be evil in every generation, but the goodness in every generation will always overwhelm and transcend and overtake any evil. And that's why the world will continue to endure and continue to be a place of goodness and kindness, as long as we are devoted to that mission here on earth. There's a story in Israel a couple of years ago. There's an organization called Camp Simcha. It's a camp in New York that takes children who are battling different terminal illnesses and brings them for a few weeks of summer vacation where they could just be carefree and have fun and get away from the hospital wards and the treatments and the chemotherapy and just be in a loving, supportive environment with an amazing staff. And they were bringing a group of girls from Israel to America for this camp. And this group of girls were in the airport at Ben Gurion getting ready to board the flight, and they were so giddy and excited, had been looking forward to this trip for months. They boarded the plane, sat down, and then their chaperone, their staff member said, listen, let me collect your passports. I'll give it back to you in America when we get off the plane and we need to go through customs and we need to go through border control. All the girls started to hand their passports to the staff member. And then one girl by the name of Inbal Hadar started looking but couldn't find her passport. She looked in every bag, in every pocket of her coat, in the overhead compartment, underneath the seat. And everyone on the plane was like, her friends were trying to find it for her. Meanwhile, the plane had to depart. 10 minutes later, 15, 20, they still can't find it. Finally, after 30 minutes of everyone on the plane trying to help, they could not find it. The plane had to take off. And the staff member said to Inbal, listen, there's no point of you going to America. When you get there, you won't be able to get in without a passport. They're just going to send you back. Unfortunately, you're going to have to get off the plane. We'll call your parents to pick you back up. You'll go get a new passport. And then you'll join us maybe in a week from now. The girl who had a bandana around her head because she had no hair from her chemo, with tears rolling down her cheeks, collected her bags and got off the plane. They called her parents to get her. They closed the doors of the plane. They gave the instructions for takeoff. And then the plane started to get in line for takeoff. And the pilot announced from the cockpit, we're number 3 for takeoff. Fasten your seatbelts. Prepare the plane for takeoff. When suddenly one of the girls started shouting, I found Inbal's passport. It was in my pocket. She had given it to me to hold. And started calling to the stewardess. The stewardess knocked on the door of the cockpit and said to the pilot, they found the girl's passport that we were looking for. The pilot, the Israeli pilot, got on his radio and called to the control towers and said, this is El Al flight 007. We were delayed a half hour looking for a girl's passport. We're number 3 for takeoff, but we just found the passport. We're asking for permission to go back to the gate and pick her up. A few moments later, The answer came from the control tower. Flight 007, you're clear to leave the line, go back to the gate. The pilot turned the plane out of line, went to the gate, they called appearance, and a few moments later, Inbal reboarded the plane, beaming with joy from ear to ear with the biggest smile. And the entire plane broke out in spontaneous applause. That's what it's all about. We're all fellow travelers, fellow passengers in the journey of life. We have to show kindness, empathy, compassion for one another. And when we do, our plane, our journey will always achieve its goals and reach the proper destination. Have a wonderful day.